So good day and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. So right beside me, my 2019 Ram 2500 with the 6.7 Cummins diesel. So I get back to you every once in a while, let you know how the ownership experience has been going. This is now the fourth installment of this series, and I've got quite a bit to tell you, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to get to is the tires. You may have remembered that I replaced the OEM tires with Toyo Open Country AT3s. Now I did that when the truck had 7,000 kilometers on it. I've just turned 27,000, so a nice even 20,000 kilometers on these tires. And this is actually the first time that I decided to have a look and see what kind of wear I've been getting. So I've got just under 12 millimeters of tread depth. These tires actually come from the factory with just a little over 13. So, you know, 1.5 millimeters of tread wear on 20,000 kilometers. I got to tell you, I'm pretty happy with that. So before I get a lot of comments about my dirty truck, and I do like to try to keep my truck clean, this is the reality of winter in Ontario. And this January has been very cold. And frankly, yeah, you could go and wash it, but the windows freeze shut, the doors freeze shut, everything on the truck just does not work properly. So you'll see a lot of trucks running around dirty simply because it's not possible to wash stuff without bad effects at -20. So some of you may have seen on the channel that we recently bought a steel car ramp, which we have up at Ironwood. So looking at all this salty nastiness on my truck, I'm actually curious come spring to put my truck up on the ramp and have a look at the undercarriage and see how it's made it through the winter, see how much rust or corrosion I'm getting. And frankly, I'm thinking to myself that maybe this year I'm gonna do the undercoating. We've got that Crown rust proofing up here. I think I might just reach out to those guys. So I was just talking about salt spray, corrosion. Welcome to Ontario in the wintertime. A couple of weeks ago, my rear parking sensors quit working. I took it into the dealer. The guy had a look at it. He goes, yep. He goes, there's something going on. We'll take care of it. I said, is it under warranty? He said, yep. And then I said, you know what, while you're at it, on my front bumper, right in the center here, I said, I've got a spot about the size of a quarter where the clear coat is lifted. He said, I'll have the body man take a look at it. Anyway, they replaced the sensors. And when he came back, I said, so what was it? He said there was a wire that was corroded. Less than a 2-year-old truck, and I got a corroded wire. So all the more reason why I'm thinking about that undercoating. However, the body guy came to me and I said, it doesn't look like a big deal. I said, the paint's not bad, but just you can see where the clear coat has come up. He said, I've taken some pictures. I'm gonna send them to Ram down in Windsor. It took about 3 weeks to get an answer back, but lo and behold, they replaced everything on this bumper. They pulled it off, they sanded it, repainted it, re-clear coated it, put it back on. I gotta tell you, I was pretty impressed. I expected them to say, sorry, too bad, so sad. So, you know what? Good on you, Ram. And by the way, in case you're wondering, I didn't say, hey, I'm the Truck King. Hey, we have a channel, as if that would have meant anything. All right, completely anonymous. So if they treated me like that, I'm hoping they'll treat every customer like that. I wanted to mention cold starts.
Can't get away from them here. It's been a cold winter too.
Still, -25 Celsius. That's the coldest I've had. At which point, you know, the truck decides how long to preheat. That's about a 20 second preheat. And then away it goes. So despite the fact that I have a block heater, I have yet to use it. However, for all you guys out in the oil patch or up in Roseau, Minnesota, yeah, I know that that's just balmy temperatures for you guys. So I figure if I had to plug it in, I'd be good to go. But so far, haven't had to do that.
So, Dad, I know you know this, but there's some news that affects your truck. There is now a recall on your truck. So why don't you walk us through what's going on with the recall? And you know what? We'll give a quick shout out to the YouTube commenters, because on your last video, there was a tons of guys in the comments talking about the fuel pump, and then we dug into it, and then the recall was issued. So yeah, let them know what's going on.
Yeah, and thanks very much, because I started to do some research. I knew there was something bad going on when I called up my contacts at Ram, and what I got was a solid no comment. That's unusual. Normally, most guys are pretty forthcoming with stuff, so they knew there was something going on. And then we heard about NHTSA getting involved, and we heard about the recall. Anyway, the CP4 Bosch fuel pump. It's on the 19 and 20 Ram heavy duties with the Cummins. It affects approximately 250,000 trucks in North America. About 20,000 of those are in Canada, and mine just happens to be one of them. So the issue is apparently that the pump does not lubricate properly, and at a certain point it can start to eat itself, create metal shavings. The shavings contaminate the system, the filters, the injectors, and the engine can fail, and then of course all the other things that can happen because of fuel starvation. So the issue is well known. The solution is really the kind of the big question mark, because I've gotten the letter from Ram that says this is the problem and we're going to be responsible, we're going to fix it. Then in the same letter it says, however, we do not have a fix for this yet. So those of us who are out here driving around are going, okay, well, at least I know if it fails, they'll deal with it. But they have yet to be able to tell us what they're going to do. So I then reached out to Cummins directly. And obviously this is a real sore point, because I could not get anyone to give me an interview. I got a written email response, something very, very short, and actually I will get Steve to read it because I don't want to get sued. So therefore, this is the exact email response I received from Cummins. On the bottom there.
On the bottom. So yes, this is the fuel pump on the 6.7 liter turbo diesel, referring to the CP4. As noted in the letter sent to owners and lessees, the remedy for this condition isn't currently available, but those affected by the recall should have received a letter and can expect to receive another letter from FCA, now Stellantis, once the fix is available. That's all we can share at this time. So very legal, and it sounds like in this situation, sadly, it's a lot of everyone's pointing fingers at everybody else.
I think there's a lot of blame going on.
Yeah, because you know, Cummins is probably saying, well, Bosch supplied it, and then Ram says, well, Cummins, you sent us the engine with that Bosch pump, and so I'm sure they're trying to figure out who's got to pay, because that always is what it comes down to.
Ultimately, that's what it is. The good news is, if you've got one of these trucks that's affected, at least you know that if it does go bad, you're not on the hook for it. So that's the good news. And honestly, I have faith in these guys. They're going to come up with a solution. I mean, they've already come up with something, because it only affects the 2 model years. So, and a little bit into 21 apparently. So, but you know, they're still building the trucks today. They obviously are not using this pump.
Yeah.
They've obviously done something already. So anyway, if you haven't heard about it, look into it. If you have heard about it, stand by. I guess we'll get squared away.
The next thing we're going to talk about is oil changes, something that every single vehicle owner deals with. And of course, when you buy a diesel, well, the oil change schedule changes up a little bit. It's always good for you to look into what your own oil change maintenance schedule is. And with that in mind, let Dad tell you his story now about what he's been going through with oil changes here on the 2500.
What I found curious is that I got an email from the dealer that I bought this truck at, telling me, oh, by the way, we figure you're coming up to 12,000 kilometers, you need an oil change. So I actually called them and I went, this is not a gas engine. And they said, no, it's diesel, you need an oil change. I said, no, because I've read my manual, not to mention the computer in the truck tells me that my first oil change is 24,000 kilometers. So I got a lot of, well, ham haw, you know, better service, maintenance, good for the engine, yada, yada, nonsense. So I even, when I asked Cummins about the CP4, I asked them about the oil changes. Other than trucks that are in sort of severe duty cycles, extreme dusty conditions, working in the bad off-road, constantly towing under strain, they're saying, listen, it's right in the truck. Just watch the computer. The computer will tell you how much oil life you got left, and change the oil when the computer tells you to, which is 24,000 kilometers. Now, since then, I've talked to other owners, and every single one of them at different points has gotten notifications from their dealers trying to get them to come in for oil changes at less than 24,000 kilometers. So, you know what? I'm starting to be very disappointed, because to me, this is like an organized racket where the dealer's going, well, listen, if we can get them to change the oil more often, and changing the oil in this truck is a $200 expense. So it's not exactly a few bucks. And it's just annoying. And I wish they would cut it out. So that's my gripe of the day. However, while I'm at it, I got one other one, which is I took it for an oil change at 24,000, and the truth is my wife did it because I was busy. She took it into the dealer. She comes home, she hands me a bill for 200 bucks, and I went, well, that's wrong. I know it's wrong, because at 24,000 kilometers, both of the fuel filters need to be changed. That's what's on the service schedule from Cummins. And then I look at the notes on the invoice, and there's a chicken scratch from the mechanic who goes, suggest change fuel filters. But nobody went out and talked to my wife. Nobody said, by the way, this is what you should be doing right now. Instead, they let her leave with nothing but an oil change. So I had to go back, and not to the same dealer either, to a different dealer and have the two fuel filters changed out a week later. So, it really pays to deal with a dealership, I think, that is really heavily immersed in diesel engines and is not going to do this nonsense, not ask you to get oil changes too soon, forget to tell you to change the filters, which is damned important, etc., etc. So, sorry, that's my old man rant. However, take from it what you will. Because diesels, there's a lot of them around, but they're still in the minority. A lot of places just don't give you the right service. And so you really got to be aware. You got to be more aware than the guys out there with gas motors.
Fair. And I think the part of your story I'll highlight too is you're actually basically on your third dealer now. We won't name names, but it is good to know that, and then maybe this is obvious, every dealer is different, and if you don't like the service you get, go to another one, because there's another dealer out there, and we've had good dealership experiences and bad. So definitely vote with your dollars, and I think after going to a couple different ones, Dad finally found a dealership he really likes.
Yeah, at the moment, because I totally agree, and I've always been like that. You get one chance. You screw me up, there's another guy down the road. I am not loyal to you because that's where I bought the truck. I go where I get treated properly.
Fair. Well, I think that's basically it for this update. We've had quite a few things happen, and now we have a lot to kind of keep people filled in on. So we'll definitely let you guys know what goes on with the recall, what happens with the tires, wear and tear wise. And then Dad said it, when we can get the truck up on our ramp after the winter, we'll take a look and see what Ram's corrosion rust protection plan is like.
Oh, one last thing.
Oh yeah.
Just remembered, because it's so damn cold today. In about a month from now, I'm heading to Texas with my new fifth wheel. So I plan on doing video, plus keeping track of my long haul towing fuel mileage. So look for that in the early spring.
Yeah, Dad's disappearing for a month. It's just going to be me on the channel for a while. What the heck am I going to do?
Well, you can get Matt to help you.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, that is it for this one. Please go below, leave us a comment. If you're down there in Texas, let us know where you are, and maybe Dad will stop in. As always, hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next.
Grumpy old guy out.